and all the brilliance I said. All right. So the other great thing about there's water at the bottom of the ocean, right? So remember this whole last class, I was talking about the talking heads and this is not my beautiful life. This, whatever, you find yourself behind the wheel of a large automobile. And it's kind of that at any moment your mind can get disoriented, right? Like, I was trying to compare that to like, sometimes I look at the word, it always happens with prepositions, but they look so weird to me. Like, how could those even be words? How could of be a freaking word? Right? Like, what the hell? Or, these are so weird, right? So all of a sudden it's like, I don't even belong to the language that I've actually grown up with. That type of like, whoa, right? Is and those are fun examples where you can kind of go, wait, that's just me, kind of shake it off and go, no, I know what that looks like, right? But think about those, a lot of people like have those moments happen and it leads to a lot of anxiety, blah, 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 blah. But so like I was talking about that yesterday, that at any moment, and one of the implications of the idea that that can happen, which David Byrne puts to music, right? Um, um, is that there's an ungroundedness to mental energy. Like, isn't it just freaking crazy stupid in some ways? I mean, minds have been super important for the survival of human beings, right? But the fact that we've tried to create conceptual frameworks, trying to like, because minds are so cool, right? The fact that we've like built conceptual frameworks trying to say that mind is somehow fundamental, like it's the main thing, it's the thing that's the most tried and true, when in fact, at least experientially, mind is actually the least grounded part of your consciousness, right? No wonder it needs beliefs, right? In order for a mind to ground, it needs to have certain beliefs that it can trust, right? So like we take our most ungrounded and profound energy that's probably evolved in human consciousness, right? And powerful in some ways, because it allows us to direct our actions into more possibilities, right? So, like I have coyotes that live nearby. They're pretty focused on getting some food. They're pretty focused on a few basic things. Their minds don't think about whether they could actually build a bridge across the lake, right? They don't think about other things, right? So there, but that we identify with our least grounded manifestation is really interesting. And as we live with disabilities, that's where we try to think we have to manage it from, right? From our least grounded, because we know to manage a disability takes a lot of will, right? And so it makes sense, except one of the things that made me start Mind Body Solutions was in my own experience. I lost my body, right? As I was trying to live with a disability and manage it, right? It's like I lost it at a level I didn't need to. And so I started practicing yoga and then started Mind Body Solutions, because it was like, wait, I get that in order to manage my life, I need to operate managing more things. But I don't, as my resource, I don't want to think my mind is my only resource in managing it, because that's not the most grounded place. That's the place that's going to struggle the most, right? And so, long story longer, that's what I was talking about yet last week. So, but now I want to go back to the line I started with, which is there's water at the bottom of the ocean, which seems kind of stupid, right? Except it's like right now, here's another one that I think is somewhat similar. Like right now, see, this makes me laugh out loud. How rarely I think about the back of my own head as I'm talking with the front of my face. Like right now, through every moment of every day of your life, do you know the back of your head has actually been there the whole time? It's never not there, right? It's so weird. Like we're so focused in one direction on front body, what's in front of us presence, that we forget that our back body is a resource. And I suspect that more back body awareness has the effect of connecting you to your parasympathetic nervous system. The part, so I would teach back body presence to healthcare professionals a lot, because they'd be running through their day trying to go from patient to patient to patient, trying to answer, be this, be that, multitask, as you were saying. And they weren't practicing enough back body awareness. So they were getting more and more stressed out and more burnt out, because they forgot or were never told that. Notice when you exhale, you start to feel more connected to what's behind you, right? Like back body presence is a resource that the mind has to receive. It doesn't get to act upon. And it's a resource, and it's obvious, like there's water at the bottom of the ocean. And we don't practice that way. Right? So allow yourself to land in the room more. Like the fact that you're connected to the empty space in the room and not just with the bills you have to pay, right? The things that you got to get done today, the fact that you're never not connected to everything around you. And that isn't just a thought, that's a truth. The space around you, you were always connected to. There was water at the bottom of the ocean. Right? So it's an interesting, not to like, I want to keep tooting David Byrne's horn, right? He's saying the disorientation of same as it ever, like he's having this moment of like, I don't even recognize my life. And in the chorus of that song is same as it ever was. It's just your mind that became different. You had a spark of like a different kind of disorientation, but it's the same as it ever was. There's water at the bottom of the ocean. So he's juxtaposing two different energies in that song and saying, know what you know, right? Remember to feel like you have the back of your head's been present in every single moment of every single day, and you've been connected to the space around you the entire time. And somehow the mind loses track of it. The mind forgets to allow your consciousness to receive. Which is like, how did that happen? So as you start to just tune into your exhale, which we know we had to have some researchers say wasn't enough just to go, hey, that feels good when I exhale more, right? Now we know it's connected to the parasympathetic nervous system. It may be activate, and somehow that makes us believe more. Well, you've been exhaling the whole freaking time. You just didn't realize it was a resource, right? It's a resource. The ability to move in multiple directions at once is a resource. It isn't just what allows you to stand up. It's actually, so last week I talked more about the idea that self-realization is taught and realized through asana when you realize that you have resources that were always here that you're not using. Right? That your mind got so connected to your life in a certain way when there was so much judgment that you forgot to use the fact that you have a back of your head and a back of your body. And no one ever explained it to you because no one, made you go, hey, like I want to teach second graders to be more aware of their back body. To not just sit up straight and tall, but actually allow that they can, like, teaching them how to ground. That should be part of education, right? Because we just don't do it very well. So instead of just saying, yeah, there's untapped resource, like your presence and connection to the room at all the time, that's never changed. But the other thing is to know that there's water at the bottom of the ocean, that, like, and this is what my yoga practice continually reminds me of. Wait, keep it simple, stupid. It feels here. It hums. I'm having a lot of extra pain today, right? And it's like it's coming, it's a muscle spasm. So it comes in waves. And it's easy for my mind to only get connected and anticipate the next spasm in my rib cage. But that's the ungrounded part of me. So as I exhale, have some of you started to, when you're super, super tired and you almost ache in your bones, but it's also like a relief, right? Do you know what that's a, like, now, can you like sit here in the beginning of class and kind of tune in to the energy wavelength that you associate with your bones? It was a huge breakthrough when I started to be able to feel my femur bones better. Right. And in relationship to my lower abdomen. That's why I teach you that so much. So sit up straight and tall. Right. So there's a downward energy here and there's a rise. I teach that a lot. I try to share that a lot. By the way, this is nothing you can teach. What you get to do is practice in a way where you can feel what's happening. You can feel that there's water at the bottom of the ocean, right? So you're sitting here and you feel the down and the up. And you start to use the down and the up to elongate your spine up and go down towards the earth. So you start to extend in both directions. And then you lift on the collarbones and broaden the space between your shoulder blades to actually also go this way. They're both resources. The mind will oversimplify for control, right? Instead of allow in, because the mind doesn't want to allow in because there's a whole bunch of things that the mind worries it can't control. Like what's going to happen in an hour, right? So I'm going to soften my jaw on the inside of my mouth. I'm going to get quieter to get more connected. And that's the fundamental insight. One of the fundamental insights that yogis are trying to pass down is that your mind needs to get quieter to reveal the water that's waiting for you at the bottom of the ocean. Right? So lengthen the space between your pubic bone and your sternum. Let there be a drop from the base of your neck down to the tailbone, but let it be like a silk curtain. Come into better balance between what's behind you and what's in front of you. Now, if you press your tongue against the roof of your mouth, let it go again. Your mind's going, wait, you're putting me into too much open space, right? So it's going to try to lock it down. You don't have to. Your body's got this. Notice the inhalation and the exhalation. Don't try to change it. You've been living in a dream world, Neo. Your mind's been making it way more cumbersome. Bring your hands into prayer if you can balance easily. Find your midline. It's a resource. By the way, you never didn't have a midline. If your hands are in prayer, start to pressurize slightly near the heel of the base of the hands. Watch the implications. Open the palms, go up through the fingers. Watch how it changes your chest. Let it change your chest. Let everything be connected. Because it is. There's water at the bottom of the ocean. Let go of your day. Prepare your mind to do yoga. Repose. Let the mind show you the way to fullness. The body show you the way to fullness, not the mind. Learn how to learn from your body. Good. And then release. Bring your hands down to your thighs, palms up. Clarify and activate your spine by lifting your sternum and dropping your chin. Raise your head up. Open your eyes. So just because when I start to teach, I start to have different lines that are in the book I'm running come out. And so have you ever heard of this idea of a silent Om? I talked about that before. That there's like this resonance or something that's silent, but it's not silent. I don't know. It's that you can kind of hear it. I don't know. I don't even know what to say about that. You'll discover it if you do, if you allow it, whatever. But it's funny because sometimes I can feel that other place that's perpetually here. It's always here. Seems like another place for the mind. I can hear that. Has anyone ever heard a Buddhist monk, a deep guttural Buddhist monk chant? It's really deep. And it's from that other place. And it's not trying to be music. It's trying to be something, right? They're calibrating that sound of the silent Om, right? In my opinion, like they're getting it. So like just sit for a second and allow that I like to think about it because I like rhythm. My mind gets a little scared. Like I like to think about it sometimes as there's a drum beat, like when you have someone on the street that's playing when you're going into a public thing and someone's playing drums and they're banging on drums and it's wonderful, right? Anyone that's willing to give rhythm to our societal interaction, I always want to give money to because they're hitting on the drums and they're letting you know that there's a perpetual rhythm to what's happening, right? So I have a lot of ways I try to receive the fact that this is there, right? So if there's that constant sound, or what, it's not even a sound, someone's got to mute themselves, by the way. If there's that constant sound, or what, it's not even a sound. I don't even know what to call it. Let that try to align your body. So sit up straight and tall and try to figure out how to do it in a way that's consistent. So I've told you this before. Sometimes I give you the instruction, let the empty space align your pose. So if you had to receive the stuff behind you, how would you balance your head over your neck? Like, how would that, like, try it? Like, wait, if I'm forward like this, I'm not receiving that space behind me the same, right? That's what I mean by allowing what's not here to actually show me how to be congruent. So you're trying to, and that's why I've been telling you about the front balance, what's in front of you with what's behind you. All these are the same instruction. Let your ear holes be connected straight through. Relax the skin on your forehead, but keep your sternum lifting. All these are actions that are an attempt at congruence with the fact that there's water at the bottom of the ocean.
It's been lying on the floor, now I'm gonna do it standing.
So, hey, Bethany, can you mute everybody again? So, and then release. That's the part of you that precedes pain, right? That doesn't change if your body's in pain. What? Yeah. You get there and you've got to start to move around. So a lot of times I get lately, I think, criticized or constructively criticized by other yoga teachers that, like, I'm given all these instructions and and by giving the instruction, am I making it true or leading the student to the sensations that I want him to get, right? So, the fact that when I did this about the hands and I said to get the heel of the hands and open, and can you see how the opening of the palm lifts the chest? Remember that instruction just a little bit ago, right? Like, is that true, or did I lead you to it? Is it necessarily true? No. Can I bring my hands together in prayer and not feel my chest? Absolutely, you can. Right? Does my instruction create the experience? No, because if everything's already connected, they're all connected. Inhale, take your arms up. Exhale, revolve. So we're just getting a little warm-up stuff, and I want to make sure that my back body comes into the twist. I got to unplug my phone, right? Inhale, lift up, exhale, revolve, right? I'm going to unplug it right now. Too many spam calls. Lift under the collarbones, roll the shoulders back, keep twisting, auger down towards the earth, raise up towards the sky, and make sure that back body comes in, right? And informs the front body. Make sure that you're going down through the legs to the ground. Don't overstrain. There's no winning here. Right? Good. And then come on back to center. Uh-oh. Inhale, lift up. Saw a couple yawns come on the screen there. I better make this harder. You want me to make it harder? That's freaking easy. Inhale, lift up, exhale, revolve. Get the back body into the pose, right? Let the space behind your body and space to form in front of your body. Go down to the earth, down through the sitting bone, straight to the floor, and then extend from the inner groin to the inner knee down to the inner heel. Rise up, keep connected to the space around you. Inhale, lift up, exhale, revolve. I can make it harder. It's easy. Good. And then come on back to center. Whenever I'm the most tired is when I teach the hardest classes, right? So lift up, because we want space in that spine, right? Yeah. Oh, I want that hanging feeling. I like that hanging feeling. How do I get that lightness? So I'm hitting my sits bones down and I'm lifting that, because it's about the spine, stupid. You know what's right near the bottom of the ocean? Your spine, not your mind. It's not your mind, right? It's your spine, right? So you're getting that feeling again. No, I did it one way because I like doing it this way better. I like doing it leading with one arm. So I forward. Now because I'm a yogi and I know this, right? I've got to switch arms. So I'm putting my other arm on my footrest and my other arm on my wheel, and I'm doing it the way I don't like. I don't feel as good here, but I want to do both because I don't want to burn the ridge, the tread marks or the ridges, the trenches always in one direction. That's why you always do yoga poses on both sides, right? You want to make sure that you're varying. So, oh God, I like it so much better this way. It feels so much more congruent, right? I got to work on the other one. Got to work on the other one, right? So I take my legs wide. And we're just kind of opening it up again. And have you noticed that I do this almost every class? Because I want you to open your groins. Why? Why? Because I want you to have the base of your spine more open. Because I want it to feed through the center of your chest up to your smile, up to the top of your spine. I want you to sometimes have the sensation of being open at the base of your spine, right? And I'm leaning over this way. So I'm kind of like doing almost like calisthenics, right? To try to get, I'm doing rhythm here, right? I'm trying to get it more open so I can receive more, so I can see the water at the bottom of the ocean that my mind habits don't use as a resource, right? What if you had nothing to prove in your yoga practice? So now I'm just taking this sensation that I just earned, So I'm wincing because I'm having that spasm right now, right? So that there it's gone. So I'm taking what I just earned and I'm integrating it into a static position. But the position that seems static without moving isn't static at all. The river is still rushing in various directions. So I'm taking the openness of having my legs spread and I'm trying to integrate it up through my torso. I'm trying to connect to my heels. And then to make a better connection between my spine and my heels, I'm going to broaden across my sacrum. As I do that and push down through my heels, my spine goes up in opposition. It extends. I'm at the very core of standing poses. The relationship between the legs and the spine, and then eventually the arms. Good, and then release. Bring your legs back together. The thing that's really hard about teaching standing poses to someone who's sitting or practicing it, i.e. me, is that one of the core insights of a standing pose is to get the strength and stability and grounding of the legs to travel up through the spine and inform the arms. What happens too often, in my opinion, in adaptive yoga is that because we're in chairs, everyone teaches the arms too much. And they go, right? But what's really important is you teach a different dynamic between your arms and your legs, right? And the arms are kind of the window dressing of standing poses, right? But when you teach it to someone sitting, you give the arm movements easier, but that's not what a standing pose is. A standing pose is a standing pose, which is the grounding of the legs, extending and flowing energy like a fountain coming up out through the arms. And then when that fountain is realized, you can reverse the water from the arms down to the legs. It actually does this back and forth, right? All right. So take your legs wide again. So one of the reasons why when I'm teaching standing poses more, right? One of the reasons why I have you push down is I want to make sure that you get the down energy so you can get the rising energy, right? And I want you to go down, push on your leg, but in order to get more of the down so you get more of the rise, I want you to come very slightly forward on your sitting bones, right? And notice the difference when you don't do that, back into your back behind on the backside of your sitting bones, you feel the loss of connection to your legs, right? So you're coming forward slightly. Yoga poses are constantly changing gravity, right? So I just want you to practice your off center, your base is changed. I want you to notice the water at the bottom of the ocean, which is when you come slightly forward on your sitting bones. And breathe. This, and then there I just fell out of gravity again. I'm not as congruent with Grandy. My body's heavier now. Because I let myself, you can't see it on screen. I let myself fall back behind the balance point. Forward. Back. Forward. Back. Find the groove and hit it. Go right to the place. Right? Standing pose. And then release. Now I'm going to notice one of the things that we're confronted with, because our bodies have so many different issues, is how different we are from side to side. Right? I'm like, I don't like this side nearly as much. I don't feel as yogic. I'm out of balance here. So I got to really practice this side. And because I know the sensation of getting it right, my hands got to be in different places. But I got to let my awareness lead that. So again, here's behind the sitting point. My legs wide. Here's coming into it. Right? I'm shifting gravity. I'm coming through it. I'm coming back. So imagine trying to do standing poses without having your feet. Right? Well, when you're in a chair doing standing poses, your feet are actually your sitting bones and your feet. Right? So I'm going back and forth. And then when I get it, I'm going to find the midline and hit it and engage my spine. So I'm really becoming, I don't feel my sitting bones as well when I go this way. I'm not sure why. Right? I think it's because this groin is tighter. But so I'm just practicing coming in and out of congruence using gravity and then release. Legs back together. So what we're at now is at the very core of standing pose, right? Those gravity shifts and stuff. And what, the idea of being able to get, so what's more complicated about doing a standing pose when you're sitting is that now you and I have two sets of feet. We have our sitting bones and our feet. And because of the angles, your feet cannot push first and hardest, because that'll throw you off balance, right? Everyone right now, sit up in the middle of your thing and try to just push just with your feet, right? I don't care if you're paralyzed or not, right? If you push hard enough there, you kind of throw off, right? You don't get to use your feet the same way. Your sitting bones have to join with your feet. Okay, so does this make sense? Thumbs, am I making sense to any of you? Okay, right? Because sometimes I get lost over here because I know these things like they're like the inside of my head, right? So I've done this for so long. So one of the reasons why you bring into Tadasana is to make sure there's a direct line, right, between your spine and your legs. So if you were standing straight up and down, it'd be simpler. You and I got then a right angle and then down again, then another right angle, right? And so let's make sure the right angles get crisp connections. If I just let my legs flail out, the energy is lost between the right angles. If I do this and I listen to the water at the bottom of the ocean, I can make a better connection through the right angles. Doesn't mean this is wrong, but I can feel when my femur bones aren't directly out in front of my hips, my sitting bones aren't as clarified. And then the connection to my feet is not the same. Breathe. Okay, so now come forward. So can't you see how dog pose, if I had a thing right up here, that's where I put my hands, right? How dog pose is actually trying to clarify. So you can do it with one hand at a time. Maybe you can do it with both hands. I can't, that's too much strain, right? How dog pose is trying to clarify an extension through your arms to your sitting bones. Like if you were in traditional dog pose, the energy would be coming up from your hands through your sitting bones and up towards the sky, right? And then the legs would be catching it this way, right? But here you're forward and you're trying to make sure that you've got a connection between your sitting bones and your fingertips. And it's so strong, it makes you feel your legs. Good, and then release. Does that instruction make sense to you? Like, you got to get the connection so deep that it actually, so sitting bones to your fingertips, and all these things start happening. Your shoulder blade has to drop down, you have to lengthen your bicep, pull in your tricep. All these things have to happen. But you want to get it so strong that you start to feel your legs. Breathe. That's part, and then release. That's part of what dog pose is teaching you. How to have your arms and legs working together. Right? So now put your hands, both hands on the table. What? I'm using dog pose to teach standing poses? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. It's exactly what I'm doing. So my hands are down on the table, or they could be on your shin, on your knees, right? And you're activating. See, now it's harder here is that instead of the arm being up like this, which makes for a straight line, our arms are down. So we have more angles involved here, right? So I'm putting both hands down and I have to really bring my shoulder blades in and roll. Instead of being scrunched, I got to roll my arm down, the shoulder blade in towards the midline, and move the underside of my arms. In other words, broaden across your collarbones. That was just a really complicated instruction, by the way. Right? So I'm trying to roll it in. The consequence is I broaden across the collarbones. But I'm doing this in a way where I really want to feel my sitting bones and I really want to feel my legs. So I'm telling you to roll your shoulder blade in and down, but lift the underside of your arms up as you keep your hands down as a way for you to feel your legs. Breathe. Good, and then release. Do you know that your arms mirror your legs? And your legs mirror your arms? You figured this out, right? It's way bigger than you think. Your upper arms mirror your femur bones, your thigh bones. Your lower arms mirror your shins, right? Dog pose makes all of those line up and work together because you have weight on your hands and feet, right? And it's easier if your butt's in the air, but you and I have to do it with our seat in our seat in the on a seat, our butt on a seat, right? This would be an easier realization if your butt was in the air, right? But you're going to have to learn it this way. Me too. Right? So again, I'm activating, rolling the shoulders under, lifting the sternum up, hitting down through the sitting bones, broadening across the collarbones, hitting down through my legs. Now make sure if you can wiggle your toes, remind your mind where your toes are. Remind them that there's water at the bottom of the ocean. If you're paralyzed like me, you got to like find there's water at the bottom of the ocean a little bit differently. Breathe. Good, and then release. So this connection between the arms and the legs, right? How am I going to maintain that level of connection when my arms are in different positions, right? That's part of the challenge of standing poses. So we're going to start. I don't like to do this very long. And some of you can just do it with one arm this way, right? This up, or one arm, you don't have to go out straight. One of the beginning standing poses is just arms and legs wide, like this. Now you and I, because we're sitting rather than standing doing this, if you do this sitting, you get compression in your spine, which is contraindicated for a standing pose. Right? So, but my legs are wide. I don't know if you can see, I got them wide here, right? And as soon as I take both arms up, I feel like I'm doing more yoga, but I'm actually more compressed in my spine. So I'm going to figure out how to come forward on gravity. And I better show you all the tricks. Remember, man, I'm teaching you. I'm trying to show you a lot today. I almost apologize. Almost, right? So when I'm here and with both arms and compressed, but still doing the pose, and I can do it this way, but my neck comes forward, I can feel a whole bunch of things out of alignment, right? That's fine. I should do that sometimes. But this time, I'm going to do it with one arm. And rather than compressing my spine, I'm going to come forward enough and push down on my femur bone and have one arm up. So I keep the lift in my spine connected to the earth. And then I'm going to switch sides. So I'm going to make this a sequence where I do one arm at a time. I reduce the complexity and the compression of gravity. I make sure I maintain the grounding down. And I make this a sequence. Exhale, land, inhale, out. The whole time I'm working for my legs, everybody. I'm not moving my arms. I'm trying to make sure my arms stay informed by my legs. Because what's going to happen is my mind is going to forget the bottom of the ocean, and then my mind is going to go to all the action out here. Right? It's going to feel all the, remember, I can't feel my legs the same way as you, so it's even more for me. But it's going to go to where my mind's going to go to where the drama is, to the front body. Right? Now I'm going to synchronize your own breath. Notice the little shift in gravity. Notice the things I'm gaining. If I do this from behind the balance point, this feels like a scarecrow. This is just movement. If I come forward a little bit on my sitting bones, it becomes more unified. This is what standing poses do. They change your relationship to gravity. Find a pace. But even when I start doing it faster, I lose my legs. Right? I got to go back and forth, trying to keep my whole body doing this. So one of the beginning standing poses is just this. So now we're back to where I've noticed all this gravity shift. I know when I take both arms out, I'm going to compress my spine. That's okay. But I'm going to try to keep my spine lengthened as I take my arms out. I'm going to try to keep space between my vertebrae like dog pose, so I can keep my legs and my arms working together. Good, and then release. Coming forward again. So now I'm grabbing my footrest, but you grab the seat of your chair. So now I'm coming forward, lifting my chest, trying to have the lift in my chest, send lightning to my tailbones, spreading the lightning out to each knee as I come forward. And then go back. And by the way, this was already happening. This water was already happening. Your mind just wasn't there. I'm forward. I'm expanding my chest. I'm taking my knees out. And I'm watching a different relationship in my spine go out through my legs. I'm practicing my arms and my legs with gravity shifts, right? Gravity shifts. Because that's the water at the bottom of the ocean. It was never the full pose, right? And then my legs back together. Come back to Tadasana because it's easy to forget. Ooh. And then as my sitting bones get slightly crisper because my knees are together, right? Then I'm going to lift my chest from that. I'm going to broaden between the shoulder blades. And as I hit down with my sitting bones and up this way, then because I'm paralyzed, have to extend from my inner groin, inner knee to inner heel. So I make this a full midline pose. Breathe. Here we come again. Legs wide. Visit what helps my ego but hurts my yoga. Compressed, arms and legs wide. But now I've got all this extra energy about how to keep my spine long, even though everything about gravity is making it compress, especially because I can't engage my legs the way a standing person could. So I got to really work for length in my spine by myself without my legs. Good, and then release. And what's great about the spine is if you can extend your arms down, if you can make extension in your spine, it'll feed your legs, right? Try it again. Lengthen your spine, feed your limbs. I can't tell you how few standing people realize this happening, right? That the spine is what's feeding their limbs, right? Okay, so now we're going to go over, right? And we're going to get the down energy, the gravity shift, and then fully up. And as soon as your arm starts to go up, I hope you're feeling your legs. I hope you're come back like this. I hope you're letting your arms be an expression of your legs. Now, if I'm behind the balance point, my arm's by itself. I'm not using gravity right. I come slightly forward and ground, and then I sit here and go, okay, I'm going to get my spine first. Oh, my spine and my legs. And then my arm continues the action. I'm in a standing pose now. Find your feet. Find your sitting bones. find your rib cage, extend out through the top of your head, go down through the feet, open your palms, feel your skin. Let the vessel be full and expressive. I can't believe some of you, more than one of you, itched your hair in the middle of that pose. Just saying, you might have got a little distracted. Too many instructions. Oh, he's just flapping his gums again. No, it's not too many instructions. I'm just trying to articulate what's already happening. Right? Here's me in the hole. Here's me out of my hole. Here's me grounding down. Here's me finding my spine. Here's me finding my legs. Here's me using gravity. Here's the expression from the floor up through into the standing pose. Oh, there's a crease, the thing that's spasming. I can feel the crease in my rib cage. I have a crease. Ooh. Shouldn't overdo this side, but it sure feels good. It's right here for me, right there. Right? Good, and then release. Ooh. Forward and back. Yeah. So, have you noticed, like, come back to Tadasana. Have you noticed, like, say you're in the midst, oh, I can't believe class is almost over. You're in the midst of a beautiful sunset, and the person you're with just won't stop talking about it. That's what I'm like as your instructor. This is why you have to practice on your own. You have to have the confidence to hear the words later, to practice on your own, to get into the spaces and to know, like, wait, I can do a standing pose while I'm sitting. So I'm leaning forward here. I'm actually with my forearms on the table. I'm making sure my spine's elongated. Please don't ever just listen with your head to class. Right? Like, make sure that you're processing with alertness in your spine. One of the things I can tell about students when they're listening too hard with their head, they're not getting what's happening. Listen with your body to asana. Feel it. Your head will come later. You might hear instructions 10 years from now, right? I hear it all the time. I'm constantly hearing instructions from my past. So I'm breathing, I'm grounding. I'm actually preparing for Shavasana. I'm getting equal and watching my breath on each side of my rib cage because we did a lot of asymmetrical movement on the rib cage. So I'm paying attention to it. I'm using the breath to make sure I feel, for me, the left side of my rib cage. When I smile, I think about all these yogis saying, which I put in the words of Morpheus to Neo from the Matrix. You've been living in a dream world, right? And this is where I think the motivation, where some of the ancient yogis will say, the life you live is the illusion, right? There's another happening here. And I think it's awareness of your body. It's the actual happening. So as I'm leaning forward here, I'm trying to feel the space behind me. I'm using my breath to actually be part of the room. What if you tried to be part of the room? Not disappear into the room. Be part of the room. Human beings suck at this. And then prepare more for Shavasana. So How are you going to take being part of the room and let the chair hold you up? Let the sensation of support. So I'm thinking my talking heads, because I was looking at the size of this class and we lost a fair amount of people. I think the talking heads class might have been a bridge too far. But thanks for coming back. Right? And knowing what you know. So when all of a sudden life feels strange, know what you know. Know where your body is. Know that it carries potential. There's water at the bottom of the ocean. Soften the skin on the forehead, the temples, the jaw, the inside of your mouth. As your mind lets go, trust the home. Feel your breath. Thank your body. Thank it again. Start to bring yourself back. As you do, as you increase your breath, let your ribs be the fingers of your spine. Let the air of your increasing lungs press into your spine. Bring yourself back to movement, from breath to spine, from spine to limbs. Except your spine was before the breath. But that's different. When you're ready, open your eyes. I gotta keep remembering a few weeks ago, and I gotta keep looking up, especially as winter's coming. Look up more. Let in more sunlight. All right. So we'll stop with the talking heads until next week. All right, everybody. I hope you have a good week. I hope. Right? Hands together. Namaste. The spirit in me bows to the spirit in you. Right. So I hope you have a good week. And as we head into holidays and stuff, layers and layers of stuff. Right.